Today you're gonna learn Rico's build, strategy, bounces, and ultimately how to play Rico like a pro. First off, let's talk about his main attack, Bouncy Bullets. Rico fires 5 projectiles that can bounce off walls, and each projectile gains 1.67 tiles of range on every bounce. Now whenever you're shooting off of a wall, you want to be moving towards that wall to increase Rico's attack range. Rico can use his bounces to reach tight places. For example, the enemy might think they are safe behind a wall, but really Rico can hit them with the tap of a button. Now every time you use an attack, you want to be bouncing off of as many walls as necessary in order to extend your range as much as possible. Shooting off the walls also makes it almost impossible for you to be hit. So, similar to a thrower, you can damage enemies behind walls while yourself being safe behind cover. Now to guarantee your best bouncing abilities, you need to make sure you are familiar with every wall and every bounce possibility before pressing ready. Make sure to study the map well and know it inside out. Now, although bouncing is so beneficial for Rico, if there are enemies in your range and sight, bouncing off a wall might not be the best, especially if the enemy is low. Bouncing off of that extra wall might lose you an easy kill. Now that we've covered his attack, we can actually look at his super, Trick Shot. During his super, Rico fires a long burst of 12 bullets that pierce through enemies and bounce off walls. Similar to Rico's attack, for every bounce, each projectile in his super gains 1.67 tiles of range. Obviously, he can't attack or reload during his super, and although his super projectiles pierce, they can only damage an enemy once. It only takes Rico 3 main attacks to charge up, so you will be using it quite often. Another factor to notice is that Rico's super is immediately cancelled when he is knocked back, pulled, stunned, or killed. So don't panic and use your super when you're about to die. Now when you hit all the projectiles on Rico's super, this will easily help you to charge up another one. That's why it's important to look for opportunities where your opponents line up, so you can hit both of them at the same time. Doing this will both inflict more damage and hopefully charge up another super for you to use. Rico's super also has a lot more range than his main attack, so when enemies might think they are out of your range and safe, you can blast them with your super and hopefully get a free kill. Because of the damage of Rico's super, I recommend using on higher health tanks or lined up opponents so that you can get maximum damage out of it every single time. Honestly, Rico's super is basically just his main attack on steroids. You can use all the same techniques and bounces that I already told you about. Now aside from his base kit, Rico has incredibly strong gadgets. His first one, Bouncy Castle, allows him to heal 256 health for every single bounce in his next attack. To get the most out of this gadget, I recommend using it between 2 close walls in order to potentially return to full health. Another good way to use this gadget, if you're on medium health, you can shoot it down off of a wall and heal yourself while also damaging the enemy. It's a great way to heal up and be able to hold your position without losing any control. Now, although this gadget sounds amazing, his other gadget, Multi-Ball Launcher, is basically a shield against assassins. When activated, Rico fires 2 waves of bouncy balls that bounce all over the map. At its max potential, it may deal almost 15,000 damage. That way, when assassins appear right next to you, you can almost always get a free kill with the tap of a button. This gadget can also secure a kill if you're going on the aggressive side. Now Rico also has some pretty useful star powers. His first one is Robo Retreat, and says that whenever Rico falls below 40% health, he gains a 34% speed boost. Now his speed boost is always nice, especially when low and needing to run away or dodge attacks. An underrated tip about this star power is to actually keep the speed boost once you fall under 40% health. That way, if you're good at dodging, you'll be able to stay alive with a speed boost, which causes more accuracy and it's harder for them to hit you. That's a pretty good star power, but his other one increases his damage on almost every attack. His super bouncy star power gives every bullet that bounces from his attack and super alike, plus 256 damage. This does only come into effect on the first bounce, so the max damage from his attack with this star power would be 4,480 damage, and his super 11,712 damage. This star power encourages bouncing even more as the damage output is insane. Although it adds damage, know that this star power does not increase the time it takes to charge your super or your hypercharge. A tip for your super with super bouncy is to actually try to bounce your super almost every time. Because if you shoot your super at someone and it bounces off of a wall after it hits them and hits them again, it'll only do damage the first time. But if you bounce the shot before, then it'll do super bouncy damage and you'll be able to maximize your potential out of it. Now, one of the reasons Rico is doing so good right now is because of the release of his new Hypercharge called Trick Shot King. This ability allows Rico's Hypercharged super to bounce even further than normal. Now be warned, you do need to bounce this super in order to receive the extra range, but once handled properly, the range buff is insane. Paired with Hypercharge stats of 26% speed, 25% damage, and 5% shield, Rico can chain supers and team wipe pretty easily. Now with such a great Hypercharge, I recommend not using it when you are at low HP, because if you get killed, you will have lost the thing entirely, and will have to charge up another one. It's better to use it at full health, especially when the shield is so little, so that you have plenty of time to team wipe. Even if you don't get max potential out of Rico's Hypercharge, it does only take 6 hits from the main attack to charge, so you should be able to get it at least twice a match. So the best build for Rico, in my opinion, would be the multi-ball launcher gadget and the super bouncy star power. I picked multi-ball launcher because without it you can fall easily to assassins and tanks that are able to sneak up on you. Now with this star power, super bouncy, you will become advanced at bouncing and knowing when not to bounce. If you are not as skilled with Rico or do not wish to play him at high trophy ranges, I would recommend running the Robo Retreat one, as it requires less skill and less pressure to bounce. Now for gears, I definitely recommend the reload gear, as it allows you to continue firing down upon your opponents while safely behind a wall. Now for the other one, I would use either damage or shield. I personally run shield so that I can stay alive as long as possible, and with Rico's below average health, you're not going to be wanting to be aggressive when under 50% health. And last of all, Rico is so much better with his Hypercharge, so get it if you don't have it. Now if you guys want to see another brawler, how to, please comment below, and I'll see you in the next one.